Welcome back. Welcome back to another amazing podcast. Man, this is another beautiful day in America. Love being here. Love being here.
Do you believe that we're at the end of June, my friend?
Man, we are at the end of June, brother. We are at the end of June. Time flies. I must say that time definitely flies. And we have to take advantage of every moment. I mean, about to be 40 in the next couple of years, bro. Gotta make sure
You're about to be 40 in the next
40,
couple
bro.
of years.
Yeah.
We just lost every listener that's over the age of 40 right now because
you're holding that down. You're holding that down, brother. You got it. You got it. But yeah, honestly, like this is it's crazy how fast time is flying, man. And already halfway through 2023, man. It's just like 36 episodes ago, we were in 2022.
I know, man. Tell me about it, man. I was just talking with my accountability partner yesterday, and the first thing that we said, because we don't talk every week, we talk like every 3 weeks or so. And it was like, man, I just had this conversation with my wife. I'm like, I just had this conversation with my clients. Like, we are at June 27th, June 28th. Like, it's unbelievable. Today's what, the 29th? It's insane, man, that my grandparents always told me, don't blink because it goes real quick.
It goes really
sure
fast,
does, man. It does.
Whew. Well, with that being said, everybody, welcome back to the closing table. This is episode number 48. The next war could change everything. We're going to be talking about a little bit of Biden, and this Ukraine war and how that's going to have a huge impact on us. But before we get started, I want to say thank you all for tuning in. It's always a pleasure to see you all, and have you all actively being a part of this show. Again, thank you, Caroline, for, good morning to you, B. Walker as well. Everybody that's tuned in right now, make sure you jump in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and notification bell if you're on YouTube. And if you are on Facebook, make sure you tag someone that could benefit from this conversation. Super excited, man. Super excited about this conversation today. Overall, I think, there's been a lot going on.
And tons going on, man. There's so much to talk about. And if you're just like turning on the TV or listening to the news or watching YouTube and you click news, I mean, it is an abundance of craziness. Like, you don't know where to begin. Like, some people are like, I'm going to go from the oldest video and work my way to the top. Some people say I'm going to start from the top and work my way down with the news. It's insane.
It's wild, man. And I don't think overall we're going to see an end to this type of, fluctuation or increased fluctuation of commentary on what's going on across the world, what's going on in our nation, what's going on in our lives, because it's constantly becoming more and more, of a frantic, mainstream type of living space. We're constantly finding more and more disruption across the board, whether it's in our own backyard, with this whole presidential campaign that's coming up with Trump or Biden, or we have something that's critical like the Ukraine war and our support for the Ukraine war and, everything that goes along with that. It's constantly going to be, a continuation or influx of volatility in our immediate lives. And that's something that we have to pay attention to across the board. I think.
Is it funny, James? Like, I noticed this week, right? Since Monday to Thursday, it's very quiet about the Trump and the Trumpies and all of that stuff. It's been quiet. It's been about the submarine. It's been about Russia and what's going on over there. Biden and Hunter Biden kind of dwindling in there and things. But, it's been quiet on the Trump train for a little bit. And again, for him, it's probably not a bad thing, but, he's probably sitting back with his, Manhattan or something like that. I use the Manhattan because of the New York thing, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that it's just that it's quiet. I think it's not as big of a topic now when it comes to how often or how much negative Trump, commentary can we put out every day. I mean, we need new targets. We need things like the submarine. We need things like the aliens landing in somebody's backyard. Like these people have to talk about these things to, kind of buffer the things they can't continue to bang on, because again, we are in a sensitive time, man. We're in a sensitive time. Like right now, if we could have conversations around anything. Like we could have had conversations around the Pride Month. We could have had conversations around, which we have the CRT and the ESG scores. We could have had conversations around just so many different topics. I think the biggest topic, and B. Walker just said it, the goal now is to filter info, because there's an extreme amount of info coming through, useful and not useful, because you have to use the things that are useful. And the things that are useful are not the things that you need to use today, but the things you need to be planning for the next 5 to 10 years.
Oh, sure.
That's what I personally attest to, that using the information that's going to be useful to you down the line versus, focusing on the information that's useful to you today. Because by the time you get to the information to use today, it's already tomorrow. And if I go into my Kamala speech, yesterday was tomorrow, and yesterday is today, and today is tomorrow, and tomorrow is today. That's my Kamala.
So is today tomorrow, or
today is tomorrow, and tomorrow would then be today again. So,
but and it's not Thursday, and tomorrow's Saturday, right? Like
yes, exactly. So I mean, overall, there's a lot going on, and the first thing I do want to jump into, man, and I think you'll be okay with us going into this, because it's quite funny, actually. It's quite funny. Your boy Joe Biden, man, what's going on with him, bro? I mean, if we take a look at this right here, this guy thinks we're fighting in Iraq. What's going on with them? Well, I always have trouble when I'm trying to stream this. Why am I always having trouble?
You gotta upgrade. I guess it's time for you to upgrade that $1 million system you got to a $2 million system.
Oh my goodness. Every time I'm trying to, I don't think they like for me to share videos of Biden. It only happens when I'm trying to do Biden. When I did Trump, it's totally fine.
It's a conspiracy against you, James. That's what it
Biden,
is.
Bro.
Hey, why don't you just act it how it went, and then we'll all judge from there. We'll take our opinions from that.
That is horrible, bro. This is crazy. Now, here we go.
Fly around the world. And it's not just NATO. It's not just the European Union.
Come on, Biden.
Losing the war at home.
He's not only losing the war at home, but he's losing the war in Iraq. That's what Biden said. I can't pull it up right now. I don't know why my internet is so biased against Biden, but it never lets me share Biden's stuff. Oh my goodness. But yes, the guy said
does that mean we have more Republican viewers than we do Democrat? Is that what's going on there?
Yeah, that's definitely what it is, bro. Definitely got more Republican.
Or is it it would be the opposite, right? We have more Democrats than Republicans, right? Because they don't want you to show that stuff. That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, the guy literally came out and said that Putin is obviously losing the war at home and in Iraq. Now, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't know Putin was at war in Iraq. I mean,
I did not know that neither. So I'm on sides with you there. So is that something we need to dig into?
Yeah, we need to definitely dig into that, bro, because obviously he knows something that we don't know. He knows something that we don't know, and maybe we need to know that. Maybe we need to actually look into a war in Iraq, with Russia. But overall, I mean, the guy is so senile. I don't know if that's politically correct to say, but come on, man, we got to get rid of this president, bro. We have to remove Joe Biden from office. I don't know how you feel about that, but I'm strongly on the narrative that this guy don't know what the hell he's doing. He don't know what he's talking about half the time. He's just spewing off stuff just to be spewing off stuff. And maybe I'm wrong. People in the audience, maybe I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong.
I mean, James, I again, it's going to be 51% yes, 49% no, or vice versa. That's just the way that it goes, right? I've been saying it all along, right? I'm over this, and again, I don't want to offend anybody. I'm over this 70-plus-year-old president. They're out of touch, man. I'm done with it. Like, that is like my big That's my big argument right now. I'm done with that stuff, right? Like the old school way of things is done. Our country, our world, our education system, we are moving in a different direction. And again, I love my grandfather. I love my grandmother. They do not need to be running a country. Sorry, just do not need to be running a country, man. So I'm with you. I'm over it. It's kind of scary to watch. B. Wagner put on there a Biden economics. I saw that yesterday in Chicago or the day before in Chicago. I don't think Chicago right now is worrying about economics. I think they're worried about crime rate. That's probably what we should have been talking about there. It's a little crazy. But yeah, man, I'm over this 70 plus president. I mean, even with Trump running, like in 4 years, like his health isn't going to get better. It's just not going to get better. And I don't want to see him being looked at that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I think we have some good options this go around, and we are not fully invested. We're not fully committed right now as a society of people to say that we want Biden or we want Trump or we want JFK Jr. or if we want DeSantis in office, or there's just so many options right now that I don't think people have really filtered out who they want. Because again, if you look at Joe Biden, if you look at Trump, these guys are up there in age. Not saying that that's an issue overall. That's not the main factor. It's just that we have to be realistic. The older mindsets of our society and the things that were okay 50 years ago and even 20 years ago are not the same things that are okay today. And I'm not just meaning that on a scale of what we would consider race or gender or these other ideologies. I'm saying economically, overall, I don't think we're structured the way we need to be structured as a country. Now, if we look at China, I don't know, there's a viral video going around of China and what they're doing in their school systems, or I guess their military school systems or whatnot, but they have 6 and 7-year-olds learning how to break down guns, clean guns, reassemble the guns at the age of 5 and 6. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, I'm not saying we should be leaning more towards a military or militant mind state when it comes to the United States, but I think we should have more enforcement on creating a militant structure with our younger generation, because again, we are headed into a dynamic of warfare that could change the way we are perceived in the near future. And I don't think personally we're ready. I think we had this conversation last week. I think we're too soft. I think that we are too, passive when it comes to certain things in our society. And we're not ready for something that will be majorly concerning in our country when it comes to China, Russia, and places like that. If something big was to jump off. That's just my, perspective on that.
I mean, I don't think that we should be teaching our kids at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, whatever, how to clean guns. Like, that's just not something that a child, young teenager should be doing. They should not be worrying about war, not worried about the president, not worried about what's going on, just actually enjoying life, right? Like, I don't agree with that. But again, that's China. They're going to do what they want to do. Unfortunately, that's just crazy. That's what's happening over there, right? But they also only allow people to have one child now, or two children.
Yeah, I think it's that 2 now. I think they're okay with 2.
I mean,
I think they're okay with 2.
they're gonna do what they want to do, right? I don't know what our military numbers are. I don't know if you know that, with B. Walker or stuff like that. But like, are we not getting as many volunteers? Meaning, men and women out of high school.
No, I think we're
Is that number dropping?
that number has dropped, but
Okay.
also what has dropped is what we would consider the masculine approach to war. I think also the training of our American soldiers have been dwindled down to more of a peaceful approach to war than an aggressive approach. And we have always known America to be the aggressors, in a lot of different scenarios when it's time to go to war. And maybe there's no need to have, militant minded or very strong on a strong approach, because we're headed into a tech basis when it comes to war. We could have this type of technology war, or this AI war, where you don't have to physically be, strong. Maybe you just need to be mentally strong. I don't know. And maybe that's one of the reasons why America is still seen as one of the strongest armies in the world, especially on standing beside NATO. But overall, I mean, yeah, the numbers have dwindled. The number of participants have dwindled, while the number of participants in China and Russia has increased. Now, my thing is,
yeah, but that's probably because they force them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
true.
Yeah.
I mean, but do you not think at 18 we should have our young men, and I guess women, and whatever you identify as, be not forced, but be drafted into at least 2 to 4 years of voluntary army or military participation?
I don't think so. No. I'm going to stand my ground. And again, here I may upset some people and stuff like that, but we all play a role in this world. And we have men and women. We're just going to keep it at men and women that are geared, built, are happy to go into our military department in all respect and love to every single man and woman that have ever served in the U.S., that are planning on serving in the U.S., and to help protect us and give us what we have. Again, at the end of the day, I absolutely love America. I love being here in the United States. I do not feel that we should force our men and women to go into the military, because that's not a good thing. If you force an employee to go and vacuum and clean and all of that stuff, you're not getting a good result, because you're forcing them to do something. If it comes down to a World War III or a World War IV, you ask for volunteers, and then if we don't have enough to protect what we live, where we live, different story. But no, I think that there's enough. Hopefully, there's enough men and women, young-minded men and women, that want to enlist and protect. But we also need the young men and women that want to be engineers and doctors and contractors and stuff like that over here, to keep us moving forward as well.
Oh, and I totally agree with the fact that I don't think it should be a force. But I don't know. I just kind of feel like we need more structure in our life. And I think a lot of times, these young, adolescents could go into something like a 2-year military training. Not saying they have to go to war, but help them get some type of structure, some type of basis about themselves before they actually go out into the world. 2 years of military before you go to your 2 to 4 years of college, and then we kind of build off of that basis. That's kind of where I'm at, because again, we do have powers at bay that could definitely take us, into a strategy or a situation where I don't think we're going to be populated or even mentally ready to go there. And with the Biden situation, overall with his quote unquote now connections with China, we have now seen that there's a lot of information that's come out that doesn't paint him or his son in the light that they've been trying to be perceived in, as if they're good guys for America. They are not looking to they're not looking or have ever taken money from China. And at this point, we can obviously say this is a lie. I mean, we could see some impeachments going on here, whether it's of Biden himself, because he knew of the finances that were being, handed over to his son in support of his global, participation in what's considered now a coup against America. That's treason within itself. So we can talk about what's going on in Russia, but at the same time, we can't neglect what's going on here in America when we possibly have people right in our offices, in our political offices, doing the same thing, taking money from what we are considering the enemy to get in bed with them, to pretty much focus on helping them grow or have influence in areas they shouldn't. So
would you agree, though, that Biden's kind of played it? Joe Biden's kind of played it somewhat cool. Like he's like, oh, we're gonna let them handle it. He kind of veers away from it. It's it's like he goes somewhere else. He's like,
True.
I'm gonna let the attorneys handle it, all of that stuff. Like it's kind of funny to watch because like it's at the end of the day, it's like, man, do you love your son? Do you love your child? Because like if my child's in trouble, like I'm speaking, I'm like, no, it's BS. This is all
propaganda.
This side of the party.
This right. But overall, I do think it's I think it's a good thing he's playing it that way, as if he's like literally nonchalant about it. Like I don't care. Like I'm not worried about it in any sense.
Yeah.
But I think it could definitely be playing maybe he don't even remember. I mean, maybe
I knew you remember this shit is happening. I wrote that down. I knew you were going to say that.
Maybe you don't even think that it's even possible or this is even going on, because again, this is a person we're talking about that has to be reminded consistently on things like we're fighting a Ukraine war, not an Iraqi war. Like why are we can't be surprised that he's not speaking about this, because I think he probably would have put his son deeper into into the ground if he actually spoke on this, because he would say something that would incriminate not just himself but his son and probably everybody else that's involved. I mean,
are all the letters on his monitor, are they large letters?
Oh, they're large. They're huge. Like his monitor, his prompter is probably the size of the room. Like he has to see shit that big.
Do they tell everybody, do not turn around, look forward, because it's on a big screen behind the audience, and that's what we're reading from?
Do not turn around. It's a big projector that comes up behind us, everybody in the audience. Oh. But man, but I mean, honestly, I agree with you. Like, Trump, Biden, I'm not saying, again, I've said this multiple times, I don't think Trump is going to lead us out of danger, but I think he's going to give us more time to prepare ourselves for the danger. Biden is going to kind of push the agenda a little quicker to go ahead and get us where I'm assuming they want this overall globalism to be. Either one of them or any of us is going to get us out of it. I think some people just want to postpone it, because I think it's necessary to realign the Americas. And I think all of this has to be a part of it. And that's one of our main topics. And I want to get into that a little bit, because overall, I think that's the biggest ploy in all of this.
Is the Russia?
You say is the Russia?
Did I lose you? Okay.
Yeah, can you hear me? Jen. Yeah, I was saying all of this ploy, the Russia ploy, is all connected to a global reconstruction of our nations. That's what I'm thinking. So,
it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I've really watched and read. I will not try to pronounce any of the Russian names. I will not mess with that at all. But
Porzinga.
Yeah, not gonna happen, my friend. Not gonna happen. No, I tried last night, and I was like, oh, that would be just a debacle. Not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, man. I look back, or I think back about conversations that we had about the BRICS, and I was like, man, these guys, these women, men and women that have this power like they do, it can't last. And we're seeing it inside, right? Like, but this gentleman that has started this process inside Russia and things that are going on, what I'm reading of him, he's 10 times worse than Putin, right?
Yep.
Like, we pick who we want to pick on, but we could be asking for some more trouble. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know, man. It'll be very interesting over the next 2-3 months or so to see how things go. He is now wanted, I believe, but he was helped out of the country. Is that right?
He was helped out of Moscow. Talking about no, you talking about the
Porzingha. There you go.
Yeah.
We'll go with that. Yes.
You saying he was helped out of the country? Yes, he was helped. No, he wasn't helped out of the country. He was helped out of Moscow.
Correct. But what didn't some leader in the BRICS or whatever say that you could come like safe travels or like peaceful stay or something like that?
You got me lost on that one. No, I'm not for sure,
Okay.
but we need to look at that. We need to look that up because if that's the case, then if Putin is at large with the BRICS and there are some leaders, some authoritarian leaders that are looking to protect the Wagner Group in some sense, then the Wagner Group definitely has more power than we are actually assuming. Because overall, I'm thinking that no one would step up to support in-house terrorist of Putin if Putin is one of the world leaders in that BRICS category. So that's my thing. That'd be weird if somebody stepped up and said we will provide you safe passage. Like,
I am gonna look that up because I swear yesterday that someone had stepped up and said that you could come here and stay. So I don't want to be off record. I don't want to confirm yes or no, but I swear I saw that yesterday. So I'll look into that. But either way, it's his right hand man that has been there from day one, if I understand, right?
Yep.
Like from 2000.
Yeah. No, he's been there for a while. They've been knowing each other for a long time, but he's been next to Putin since 2014. So overall, the guy has a lot of information. He's seen a lot. He's done a lot. I think he could take Putin out in so many different ways. I don't think it has to be just on a physical attack. I think his information and the knowledge he has could be enough to, like, the people he's killed for Putin, the people he's assassinated, the countries he's pretty much been able to be involved in and take over for Putin. I think, he has a lot of information that could definitely ruin, the perspective of Putin in his own nation. Now, when it comes down to it, Bernadette B. Walker said they are going towards a one world government controlled by the WEF, the World Economic Forum. It's actually being directed by non-humans. We can always depend on her to give us some chaotic response, right? Banks are not collapsing; they're consolidating. And it's Wagner. It's either, I know we're over here, we're saying the Wagner, but I think it's Wagner Group was paid off. The dude was an agent sent to get close to Putin, CIA. Very, very, very possible. But we also have to realize that Putin was put in office as well when they knocked off the previous Russian leader.
Correct. Yep.
So overall, I mean, everybody's a part of something. Everybody's if you're at that level, you've been placed at there. Let's talk about this real quick.
James, this guy's, excuse me, the leader of the Wagner Group is out there shaking hands and taking selfies with people. They like him. Like, it's kind of scary.
Yeah, I mean, because he's fighting for something. He's fighting for strength. He's fighting for power. He's fighting for. He's become. Most people, when you see a uprising in a country, let me ask you a question. Why won't we see an uprising in America as if the Porzingha the Porgosian. His name is Porgosian. That's his name, Porgosian. Porgosian. How is it that he's getting this support? Would people in America support a person like Porgosian in America if something like that was to happen? You know, if let's take the J6 situation, J5 situation that happened when Trump didn't want to get out the office and they raided the Capitol.
Yeah.
Right. So let's take
January 6th. Okay. Yeah.
January 6th, J6.
J6.
All right. So let's talk about the J6 situation. And
James, you're getting my morning all started right, man.
I mean, honestly, if that was have been, this group, the Wagner Group, who had done that, they wouldn't have just been able to leave because they're not charging the Capitol with sticks and bats. They're charging the Capitol with AR-15s. They're charging the Capitol with tanks and missiles. This is an actual group of over 50,000 Army members who are equipped to go to war with a country that they're actually a part of. That's big, bro. Like an individual who has a military of over 50,000 people who openly follows him to attack the president of a country.
And a large percentage of these people that follow him are like prisoners,
ex-military.
Yeah, we're not letting our prisoners out here in America to go and help somebody out. Like, I mean, what we saw on the J6 situation, I love that. I will never ever say
those are civilians, bro, who has jobs. These people over here with Gosian don't have jobs. Their job is to kill. Their job is to go and cause destruction. So this is the thing, like to have a group of individuals like that in the world who are willing to go that extent to take over a whole country from a man who's been running it for the last 10, 20 years. That's crazy, bro. That's a whole nother level of like scary, So we can't even mention what the J6 people done compared to what this guy's doing. It's not even on a scale.
There's no comparison, right? Like, I mean, that's just it's crazy what he's doing right now.
Let me ask you this. Let's talk about it real quick before we get up out of here. We got about 20 minutes to talk about this. What does a World War III look like to you? Like, what is the outcome in your sense of where we are today? What does the outcome of a World War III look like to you, brother?
If a World War III happens, my friend, our economy is going to diminish by 50%. It's going to be chaotic and crazy. You think COVID silenced people? It will be the opposite effect if a war happens here and the economy drops 50%. It will be grab your guns, lock your doors, board them up, stay inside, because it will be insane if it happens, my friend. It's scary that if a World War III happens, to watch you thought 2008 was bad in the economy. It will be 10 times worse than that.
You think it would happen here? You think it would happen here in America? Is that the outcome that you think would?
No, I mean, again, regardless of where it happens, if it happens overseas with all the big powers and NATO and everybody else, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we are going to be impacted by that. Shipping stops. I mean, it will crush our economy. It's not going to just crush us. It's going to crush everybody else as well. But yeah, I mean, I would say that the economy drops 50%.
Oh, I wouldn't doubt that any. I wouldn't doubt that any. And what is the ratio of us winning that war? Like, what is the percentage of us winning that war from your perspective? Do you think we will win that war? Do you think
I'm going to be politically correct here? I mean, I don't think anybody wins in war.
Yeah, that's super politically correct, bro. Somebody has to win in war. I mean, I know people die. I mean,
that in games, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to see that at all, right?
I agree.
I don't want to see this at all. I don't think anybody wants to see it. We could be close.
So for me, the next war has a few different outcomes. There's an outcome where America, we win this war. There's an outcome where we lose this war. And there's an outcome where pretty much it's not even a war to the extent that we think it would be. It could just end where it's at, with the Russia attacking Ukraine situation, right? And if you give me a moment, I'll break this down, and you kind of give me your, your opinions on it as I go through it. All right. Scenario number one. All right. Putin attacks Ukraine with a nuke. What happens if Putin, and it's not going to be a nuke where it's going to, take out multiple countries. No, we're just talking about maybe a 250, kilogram nuke that takes out maybe 4 or 5 miles of Ukraine. Just kind of, obliterates about 5, maybe 10 miles of Ukraine. So if that happens, then what we have to look towards the fact that China or Beijing would not support that. China and Beijing specifically say they do not support offensive use of nukes. Beijing is not with someone using nukes as an offensive tactic, only a defensive tactic if they're being attacked in a way, right? So you lose the support of China. If you lose the support of China, you're going to lose the support of every other country that China is pretty much in power of or have influence over. You're talking about North Korea, South Korea. You're talking about everything that China is, influencing. They're not stepping up to the plate if China doesn't. So you leave Russia is left out there to be battling this war on their own, right? Brazil's not stepping up. No one is stepping up to actually support this war. So it ends there. If Putin sends a nuke right now to Ukraine, that war's dead. What's going to happen is China is going to step up to the plate and start to attack Russia themselves from the east side. If they attack Russia from the east side, they're going to start taking the eastern borders of Russia to gain resources because they know Russia's going to lose this war anyways, right? So why not go ahead and expand our reach by taking over some borders of Russia while NATO and Ukraine and Kazakhstan, all of those people take the south and the west borders of it. So Russia pretty much becomes a new country within itself. You're going to get rid of the authoritarian and figures, and you're going to implement a more democratic approach. All right, that's scenario number one. The war never even happens. Russia just gets obliterated, and we are now seeing a new formation in Russia where China owns some, NATO and the West own some.
Would Ukraine rush in there as well and grab some?
Yeah, so everybody's grabbing pieces of Russia at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
At some point, Putin gonna put a bullet in his head, and we find him dead.
We'll see how quick a wall actually can go up, because that's what would happen. They would piece off walls around.
Yes,
Russia.
Indeed. Because at that point, you have so many different, energies in that place. Scenario number two, right? Scenario number two, we have Russia. Don't strike. They choose not to strike with a nuke. Instead, they choose to have a meeting with China and all of their influential countries like Mexico and all the Latin countries, Venezuela. We're talking about Cuba. We're talking about India. We're talking about having literally China using their power and influence to actually gain control of everybody's by stating, if you don't join us in this war, then we're going to take away all the things that we're doing to support you. So if America don't win this war, or we go to war with America, then guess what? You don't get any more support from us. America's not going to support you because you've already been allies with. No, they're not going to trust you at that point. So you're going to be out there by yourself. So if they do decide to go to war with China and China decide to join a war, then we have to think about Mexico. We have to think about Brazil. We have to think about all of these places. Once we send our troops overseas with NATO to attack Russia and China, go to war overseas, Mexico is going to step up and attack us. All our resources are gone. Why would that be the perfect time to attack us? Brazil, all of them coming up to attack us, and we have a war here in Americas. And on that basis, we don't have the resources or the power struggle to support a Latin attack from us if we send in all our troops overseas to fight a war in Russia and China. It's not possible. So we do go to war here in America. We lose that war, and from that war being lost, guess what? Now Mexico is owning the west borders of America because they're getting their land back that was taken from them. Then we have China taking over Canada, Australia. We have Russia taking over the eastern border of America because that's just the structure of, the attacks. This stuff is strategically been planned out so many different ways that you only really have a few outcomes in this war. And scenario number 3 is that we go ahead and attack Putin right now. We team up with NATO, which has the strongest navy and the army in the world. We go ahead and attack Putin. We go ahead and attack Russia, go ahead and get rid of them. And we then go in and attack China, even though China would be a harder fight, but we bring the war to them because they don't have the equipment, because their equipment is outdated. They don't have the equipment to actually withstand a war and win with us. We go ahead and attack them. We take over China. We divide China up into multiple little countries because there's so many different cultures over there. It's best to go ahead and create a new culture and make it a democracy. North Korea and South Korea would dissolve and become one Korea again. Russia will be divided up between Americas and different countries and giving them their independence and democracy again. And that's how we get to that globalism. That's how we get to that one world government. So as B. Walker said, is all of this because we're looking for a world government? Yes, this is going to happen one way or another. And that globalism is going to come out to be either China is the leaders or America is the leaders. But it's going to happen. That war is going to happen. Now, take my word for it or not. I see it. I see it coming. And are we going to see a effect in our economic system? Yes. We're going to see a huge effect in our economic system. 50%, we might see 100% obliterated, depending on how this war turns out. But I think our best option is to go ahead and attack. That's my best option. That's what I see the best option is. Go ahead and attack, team up with NATO, go ahead and attack Russia, and go ahead and attack China, and go ahead and get this war started, and go ahead and get it over with, because it's going to happen whether we wait on it and it comes to us, or we go ahead and jump the gun and make it happen ourselves.
That's a lot of firepower, James. It's a lot of different scenarios, my friend. All right, I'm going to be the opposite here, and I do not want to see any war, and I do not recommend that we go and jump into this. Your first one.
We're in it. We're in it.
The first one you talk about, Russia just going ahead and nuking Ukraine and just getting it over. In doing so, China will backpedal and form a different type of nation with, everyone else, and then Russia would be divided up and all that stuff.
Yes.
I think you're absolutely right, but I don't think that's what I think. That's why Russia needs everybody else. Like this whole BRICS thing, all that stuff. They all need each other. I said it episode 20, right? Yeah. These men are ego driven, and they can't work together. They just can't work together. That was my calling a long time ago. If Russia nukes Ukraine, they're done. Putin better go hide. He better run because someone else is taking over. He will no longer be there. He better go to an island somewhere, and hopefully nobody knows about it. It's been created by himself somewhere.
Indeed.
So I don't see the nukes happening, right? Us running over there and sending our men and women to go and fight right now and just start this war, and then Mexico. Mexico is not coming to the U.S. to take over the United States of America. It's not going to happen. I don't care if we sent 70% of our troops over to overseas. Mexico is not coming to the United States to take over. Number 3, Putin attack. No China. What was number 3? It was just
number 3 was us going ahead and attacking. Number 2 is if Putin and China team up and go ahead and start.
And we jump on and we send our men and women over there, and then we have our own fight here. Kind of like what's happening in Russia. We're much smarter than that. We're much smarter than that. That's, in my opinion, that just won't happen. Mexico is not coming here. They're not forming something to take over their land or the U.S. We are just way too smart for that. Number 3, I think it was, let's just get it started. Is
Let's
that
get
right?
started. Yep. Get it started.
I got to take a deep breath on that one, man. That scares the shit out of me.
It's a scary one. It's a scary one,
It is
bro.
scary. It is scary. Do we start it now with Biden, or do we start it if Trump comes on this? Because Trump said he ends the war in 24 hours.
Well, honestly, if Trump can do that, sure. But it more than likely is going to happen with it's more than likely what happened with Biden. Like if it happened, it would be happening within the next 5 to 6 months. But we will only see that if there's word that China is now enlisting Cuba, the Latin Americas, the Brazils, the Venezuelas, if he starts to actually recruit that and starts to put things in order, start moving things around, I could see that happen in the next 10 to 11 months. I mean, look where we are right now. We are in a situation where Biden is the guy who will be quick to pull the trigger to say, okay, it's time to go, but I think he's also passive where he just pulled all our troops out of Afghanistan recently with, not understanding the recourse of that. But if Trump is talking about ending the war, I think he may be talking about ending the war because he wants to go to war. He's going to end the war because he wants to actually go to war. And I don't think he'd be afraid to go there. If he can't sit these guys down and say, hey, let's call it ends on this Ukraine, I think he'll just say, let's go to war. If you don't end it in 24 hours, we will. And I think that's what that means, Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
I love all scenarios. I hope none of it come true.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, man. I mean, every week it changes. Every month it changes, right? Like, I mean, it's funny because you listen and you read certain things about what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, and you try to find out the backstories and all that stuff. And you start listening to things and reading things where, man, like, what Russia's doing may be right for them because there's other plays happening. But then you listen to those same people and you read those same articles. And now that this controversy is happening inside the military operations of Russia, now it's a whole different scenario and different stories. So like you said, in the next 5, 6 months, where does it play out? I don't know. I don't know,
what would you suggest for the American people just being on this side of the fence? What do you suggest they do, if this economical crisis is approaching or could be approaching within the next 5, maybe 10 to 12 months?
James, that's a great question, man. I mean, if it's coming, I mean, I hope we've all been pretty smart over the last 18 months, right? We've talked about it, protecting yourself, making sure that, you're not out making stupid purchases and stuff like that, I really don't know, James. I mean, I think everybody, every American, every family, every household, needs to be comfortable in the decisions that they've made in the last 12 to 18 months of their lives to put themselves hopefully in a safe position.
Yeah.
Man, that's the best I got. I honestly, I don't know, because again, if this all does come to fruition and it really does explode, like, right, we're in it now, but if it explodes, I mean, you're going to see chaos just here in America. You're going to see, you'll definitely see chaos all around the world because of it. So it would be scary, man. It would be really, really scary.
Yeah, I totally agree. Thanks for joining, Malice Navis. And we also got Bernadette saying that's why population control is so important, because they have to kill off humans because they're sucking up resources. So they invent COVID, the jab, the abortion, transgender, all the what's that? All that eliminates breeding. I mean, maybe you're right. I mean, Oh, yeah, we lost me there for a second. Maybe
Yeah.
right. Maybe that is part of some type of overall globalist agenda. I don't know how deep that goes down that rabbit hole. I can't go down that rabbit hole with you today. But overall,
Because we only got a couple seconds left, right?
yeah,
You know,
I can't go down that rabbit hole with you today. Aliens on the galaxy want the control of Earth resources, but need permission from the Galactic Federation and Earth.
maybe that's the
world.
problem, James. Maybe it's the aliens controlling everything. We're all worried about everything that's going on in this world. The aliens are like, yes, these idiots are
idiots are finally stepping up to the plate to do what we've been waiting for.
We've given them little nuggets here and there. We're here. They're just waiting for the shit to explode.
Right? I mean, overall, though, it's so much that's been packed into such a small capsule, right? And we're all taking the pill. We're all taking the pill every day. The pill is the news. We're all taking the same BS pill. Then we have to figure out what's in this pill that actually is working and what is in this pill that's actually just causing us to stay confused. Me personally, the whole alien situation, the whole everything about releasing documents of redacted documents of alien, spottings, and we have I can't get involved in that because I think the agenda overall is bigger, and that bigger agenda for me stops at globalism. I don't know what's on the other end of that globalist approach or what's on the other end of that outcome, but for me, I think that's the end of a new beginning. That's the end of a new beginning, and that new beginning is going to pretty much restructure the next 100 to 200 years of our society, our global society. We have AI. Now, if you want to talk about aliens, I think AI is an alien. I mean, that's what it is. It's foreign. Nobody understands it. It's an extraterrestrial that we're all trying to figure out where it comes from, how to use it. Is it going to be beneficial for us? Is it going to destroy us? Is it going to be, what is this? So for me, I think overall we need to hone in on the tangibles that we have at our fingertips, and that's this war. This war is going to change a lot, and we're looking at it as it's just Ukraine and Russia. It's bigger than that. Once you look at NATO, once you look at America, once you look at everything on a macro scale, it's way bigger than that. Something bigger is going to happen out of this war, and I think we all just need to be prepared for it, because if you're not going to war to fight, you're going to need, me personally, you're going to need to prepare to go to war over here while that war over there is happening, because we're already at war with things that we can't change because we're passive. But once it's at your front door, once it's right in front of your face, things are going to be different. That's going to look a lot different. So
yeah, because we're like this. We put our blinders on so we don't see what's going on. But when we're going to be fronted with it, it'll be a different story. So, aliens, stay away, please. Stay away.
We can't handle that right now. We can't handle that right now.
Stay away.
So with that being said,
I love the AI, James. I love the AI, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome until it's not awesome, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But with that being said, thank you all for joining this conversation. Thank you for being active. Always, thank you for your input. But keep your eyes open. Keep your ears open. Listen more than you see. Listen. Then start to see things.
Be a sponge. Be a sponge.
Yeah, be a sponge. And then like B. Walker said earlier, filter out the BS, and so you can focus on the things that are actually going to be useful to you. And with that being said, thank you all for joining the closing table. It was always a pleasure. Make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, and notification bell, and share if you're on Facebook with somebody that could benefit from this conversation.
James, I'll see you July 1st, or I'll see you in July, my friend.
Yes, sir. In July it will be. Until next time, man.
Yes, beautiful. Everybody have a great weekend.